All right, today we're jumping into something really cool. It's a clever system that lets you play the epic fantasy RPG Dragonbane completely by yourself. Yeah, you heard that right. No GM, no group, just you and the adventure. So let me ask you this. Have you ever had this amazing idea for a character, a huge, grand adventure, only to run into the classic problem of trying to get a bunch of friends together on the same day? If that sounds familiar, then you are absolutely in the right place. It really all boils down to a problem that, pretty much every RPG fan has faced at some point. We'll call it the solo adventurer's dilemma. Look, tabletop RPGs are incredible, but let's be honest, they come with some serious roadblocks. First, you need a dedicated game master to build the world and guide the story. Then, you need a group of players who can actually show up week after week. And anyone who's ever tried to organize, well, anything, knows that scheduling can be the real final boss of the campaign. It all comes down to that last point, right? What if you're just feeling that itch for adventure right now? And that is exactly where the loner system for Dragonbane steps in. It's this really elegant solution that basically replaces the human GM with a simple, lightweight set of rules and tools. It's all designed to let you just jump straight into the action whenever you want. So, the absolute heart of this entire system, the thing that makes it all work, is this simple but super powerful mechanic that acts like your own personal portable game master. They call it the Oracle. So what is an oracle? Well, it's really just a set of tables that you can ask questions to with a simple dice roll. So instead of turning to your GM and asking, hey, do I find a secret door? You just ask the oracle. It generates answers, it creates outcomes, and it even throws in unexpected events, building a story that genuinely surprises even you, the one playing it. And here's where it gets really clever. The oracle doesn't just give you a boring yes or no. No, it gives you narrative fuel. A yes but means you got what you wanted, but there's a catch. A no and means you failed, and now things have gotten even worse. It's this built-in nuance that creates all the tension and drama. And that random event result on a 10? Oh, that's just the system's way of throwing a total curveball at you right when you least expect it. So what's this actually look like when you're playing? Well, it's a super simple, elegant loop. You start a scene, you decide what your character does, and whenever the outcome is up in the air, you just ask the oracle a yes-no question. Then you take its answer and you narrate what happens. This little cycle of action, question, and surprising answer becomes the engine that drives your entire adventure forward. And those random events, that's where the real magic happens. So let's say you just defeated a goblin in a fight. A roll on the random event table might tell you something like this. As it was running away, it dropped a note, and that note reveals a hidden treasure nearby. Just like that, a simple fight has become the hook for a whole new quest. The story is literally writing itself in front of you. But okay, the Oracle does way more than just answer your questions. It can actually build an entire living world all around you, one dice roll at a time. So instead of just staring at a blank page, trying to figure out what happens next, you just roll a die to see where your adventure takes you. Are you in a dangerous dungeon, a bustling town, ancient ruins? Each result gives you this instant creative spark, a location and a theme to start playing with, which means you get to discover the world right alongside your character. And the same idea applies to every single person you meet. You don't have to decide if they're friendly or not. The dice do. One roll on this table determines if that city guard is going to be helpful or if he's going to demand a bribe for some information. You might even roll a quest giver, and suddenly this random person you just met becomes the start of your next epic adventure. Okay, so we've explored the world, we've met some people, but this is Dragonbane. So what happens when the swords come out? Let's talk about how the system handles solo combat. Running all the enemies is usually the trickiest part of playing an RPG by yourself. But instead of some complex AI or strategy guide, this system does something brilliant. You just roll a single 6-sided die for your enemies each round to see what they do. It keeps combat moving fast, it keeps it unpredictable, and it's so easy to manage. And this one little roll makes the monsters feel so alive. One round, they might be charging you aggressively. The next, they might switch to fighting defensively from behind cover. Maybe they'll even try to call for reinforcements, completely changing the fight. It forces you to react to their tactics, not the other way around. And this is so important. Not every single fight has to be a battle to the death. The system has a super simple morale rule. When an enemy gets badly hurt, you just roll a d6, and there's a good chance it'll just break and run for it. This feels way more realistic, and it means a fight can end with a desperate chase instead of just another final blow.
So we have scenes, we have NPCs, we have combat. But how do you tie all of that together into a big, long-term campaign? Well, that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. It all comes down to this really simple idea called threads. Just think of these as your active quests, your goals, or the mysteries you're trying to solve. You don't need a GM to keep track of the plot for you. You just keep a simple list. And whenever you take a big action related to one of your threads, you make a roll to see how the story develops. And here's the thing. That progression is completely out of your hands. A single dice roll could advance your quest, or it could stall it completely. It might introduce a huge new complication or a shocking twist. You could even trigger the story's climax when you least expect it. This makes sure your long-term campaign is just as full of surprises as the moment-to-moment action. So when you put it all together, the Oracle's answers, the scene generators, the NPC reactions, the combat tactics, and the thread progression, you start to see how all these little dice rolls can build on each other to create this rich, sprawling saga that is completely and uniquely yours. Ultimately, this system doesn't just let you play a game, it gives you the tools to become your own storyteller. It just gets rid of all the barriers and puts all the creative power right into your hands. So really, the only question left is, what legend are you going to write?